The oxygen cycle and its importance. The oxygen cycle concerns the different ways in which oxygen courses through nature. Plants and animals utilize oxygen for respiration. Fossil fuels and biomass combustion are also processes that would be impossible without oxygen. Organic decomposition, as well as the aforementioned processes, all release CO2, which is then used by plants and algae for photosynthesis, which produces oxygen. It assists in distributing oxygen throughout the Earth's three major ecosystems: the atmosphere, biosphere, and lithosphere. The oxygen cycle is among the most well known examples of photolysis, which is a process where the oxygen is released into the atmosphere. This cycle is essential because it transforms damaging ultraviolet radiation into friendly warmth until it reaches the Earth's surface, protecting the planet from the harm it brings. Biosphere has two primary cycles, which are the photosynthesis and respiration. Respiration contains the human and animal breath, which involves absorbing oxygen from metabolic cues and releasing carbon dioxide. Minerals like silicate and oxides mostly fix oxygen in the lithosphere, and chemical weathering releases some oxygen. The relationship of air and the oxygen cycle. The primary action of the oxygen cycle occurs through photosynthesis and cellular respiration. Together, they represent the ability of diatomic oxygen gas to be used and produced by living organisms from the oxygen present in the air. Oxygen gas makes up about 30% of the Earth and 21% of the air in the Earth's atmosphere. Air is everywhere around us, and it is very important for all living beings. Humans, plants, and animals need air to breathe. Being knowledgeable about the oxygen cycle can help us be more aware of just how important air really is to our existence. Anthropogenic effects. Humans alter species interactions by introducing species and altering habitats by removing native vegetation, building structures, and transforming landscapes. That's what anthropogenic effects are. It's how our actions as humans affect the environment. Just like how our daily routines can affect the environment, these effects can be a hindrance to our daily lives. The most prominent and alarming anthropogenic effects toward air is air pollution. Most air pollution is created by people, taking the form of emissions from factories, cars, planes, or aerosol cans. Air pollution can damage human life, especially in major cities where there is conglomerate of industries and fumes from vehicles. Oxygen levels are declining due to the burning of fossil fuels and other kinds of pollution. While the decline won't directly affect humans in terms of the air we breathe, certain ecosystems are much more impacted, especially aquatic ones. As the planet gets hotter due to increased CO2 concentrations, the ocean warms up too and can't hold as much dissolved carbon or oxygen which marine life relies on for survival. This is why it's important that we do everything we can to put an end to it. Photosynthesis is a method used by trees and other plants to provide energy for growth. Despite only making up around 6% of the planet's surface, it is believed that tropical rainforests create 40% of the oxygen that exists in the atmosphere. In addition to producing clean air for us to breathe, trees also removes pollutants from the air that could otherwise contribute to health problems for residents. However, deforestation has caused the Amazon rainforest to decrease by 17% over the past 50 years. In fact, it's all happening all over the world, and that is extremely alarming.
Epigenetics. How does the oxygen cycle affect our genes? Epigenetics is a study of how the environment can cause changes that affect the way genes work. Even with the advanced scientific knowledge, many scientists continue to explore the relationship between genomes and the chemical compounds that modify it. In fact, there are numerous investigations into the relationship of oxygen and epigenetics. A study by Hare and others in 2015 found that low oxygen concentrations in the body tissues is linked to defects in genes, which can lead to neuroendocrine cancer. Another study by Nilay and others in 2021 shows that oxides that develops in hypoxia or low oxygen levels presented cellular stress responses and a lower DNA methylation profile than those at normoxia or normal oxygen levels. Even just a few of these examples show exactly just how much the oxygen cycles is important to our health, and it's embedded in our DNA. Are humans an invasive species? The National Geographic Society defines invasive species as an organism that is a non-native and causes great damage to the new area. Anthropologists believe that Homo sapiens originated from Africa before we ventured out to other continents like Europe and Asia, confirming that Homo sapiens are a non-native species. Furthermore, a cursory glance at our environment shows how much damage we have caused. With respect to air and oxygen cycle, humans emit around 50 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent every year. Greenhouse gases trap heat from the sun, negatively impacting the weather, animals and their habitats, sea levels, and many more. With both conditions being satisfied, it proves that humans are really invasive species. Saving humanity by saving air. Clean air is essential to the well-being of humanity and our environment. By maintaining the quality of air, we are also maintaining the quality of our lives. But recent research has started to shed light on some rather worrisome aspects of what the air around us really contains, and how it affects our bodies. And the more we learn, the more we come to realize that this essential source of life for the planet needs some serious care. Without air, there can be no life. But breathing polluted air condemns us to a life of disease and early death. Now that we know how air pollution harms us, there is no excuse not to act. There are many ways to conserve air quality. One of the biggest contributors to air pollution is carbon emissions from fossil fuel combustion in vehicles. Using public transport is a short way of contributing to less air pollution. Compared with driving alone, taking public transportation reduces CO2 emissions by 45%, decreasing pollutants in the atmosphere and improving air quality. Another way to travel sustainably is using bikes instead of cars. The practice of planting trees provides a lot of benefits to the environment and helps with the release of oxygen. The world's forests absorb a third of global emissions every year. Particles, odors, and pollutant gases such as nitrogen oxides, ammonia, and sulfur dioxide settle on the leaves of a tree. Trees absorb these toxic chemicals through their stomata or pores, effectively filtering these chemicals from the air. Trees also mitigate the greenhouse gas effect by trapping heat, reduce ground-level ozone levels, and release life-giving oxygen.